Well, boys and girls, we just saw Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg's adaptation of the book
Ready Player One by Ernest Cline.
Ready Player One stars Tye Sheridan and Olivia Cooke.
Now, Ready Player One is set in the near future of 2045, and most people spend their time online in the virtual reality world called the Oasis. Now, when the owner of the Oasis dies, he releases a video challenging all players to hunt for his Easter egg, which will give them control of the Oasis and the rest of his fortune, which is about $500 billion.
Now, first and foremost, Ready Player One is visually stunning. I just see this movie in 3D, but the 2D images were still gorgeous. All the CG, all the animation, all the motions are all just tip-top. And I feel like we've come a long way.
Come a long way.
Since Mortal Kombat,
Spider-Man,
and these things are looking so real and so goddamn good. Ironically, the real life shots don't look that good.
They don't look that good.
And they're kind of plain. And I don't know. It makes me want to go back to the Oasis anytime they come back to real life. I was like, let's go back to the Oasis.
The Oasis is definitely the bright spot of this film. The Oasis, like Ken said, the rendering of this thing is just, it's amazing. It's beyond 3D. You feel like you're really put into this world. You're embracing this world and all the movie trivia and everything in it. The graphics, the animation, like it really just doesn't get much better than this. And it makes me excited for how much further we can actually go. There's part of me wants to go back and see this in 3D to see if it enhances it at all. I haven't had a good
3D experience?
No, not at all. Like they've kind of been okay, a few 3D pop-ups here and there, but this one, I might have to go back and try it because just the 2D images alone were amazing. Now, there were a lot of cool moments in this film. Some derived directly from the book, some that they made original for the film. One of the things I enjoyed so much about the book was the 80s fanfare, the lore, the tropes, and the trivia, and they did bring a lot of that to the film, and I wondered how they were going to do it, and they did it extremely well with the CGI. There were certain parts of this film where I was just kind of like a little fanboy at times, just kind of watching it unravel on.
Yeah, you see a lot of cameos, you see a lot of, like you said, 80s references. He drives a DeLorean at the beginning of the movie.
Yep.
They meet King Kong, you see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles running around with Battletoads.
Goro from Mortal Kombat.
I mean, just like when you see these, there's like the little kid in you just gets excited, and you're just like, man, they're so cool. There's at some point a Gundam wing shows up and you're like, this is so cool.
This is amazing.
And in one of the challenges, they actually have to go in to the movie The Shining, one of the most iconic movies, and they have to run around. There's actually like original footage used in this movie that's taken from The Shining, and they're living and breathing in this movie, which is like, how cool is that?
That was
like
amazing,
when you're watching. All those moments made us geek out so much. Now the story is that each person who wants to win the game has to get 3 different keys and unlock the Easter egg at the very end. They only keep some parts of the book and translate it onto screen, which I feel like really, detracted from the overall experience.
It definitely detracted from it. I read the book, and when I originally read it, that's what I loved about it. Like within these clues and these puzzles that he had to figure out, like there was so much 80s fanfare, there's so much lore, like I was geeking out the whole time. Even though I hadn't seen or played all the video games he was talking about, I had heard about them because they were such, an amazing aspect of pop culture for, if you grew up in the 80s or even the 90s to a certain extent. And they stripped bare a lot of that for the movie. The clues and the games and the puzzles that he had to figure out in the book were way more extensive than what they brought out into the movie. And that kind of hurt it because that's one of the best parts of the book. Like the whole book is pretty much him finding these keys. Now what it turned into is him finding the keys kind of conveniently with things he had already seen before, and then IOI, this big government entity who wants the Oasis for themselves, kind of come in. And what you start to get is a movie that has been done before, almost like Minority Report, where you're trying to outrun this government entity and make sure that you get to the the clues and the puzzles before they do. The reason why people love Ernest Cline's Ready Player One book was all the extensive fanfare that it brought throughout. And this movie, to a certain extent, did it, but I understand you gotta shorten it for the audiences, but I would love a 5-hour movie of just 80s nostalgia and references, and it would have been fine by me.
Now the beginning of Ready Player One starts off really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the premise is really cool. It kind of reminds me of an anime that I've watched, which is Sword Art Online, where they're people that are locked into this virtual reality world, and then something happens. In Sword Art Online, they're not able to leave. They'll die if they are, take off their helmets and stuff. And in this game, there's that challenge where they have to go get the keys. Right. And it's really cool. And it's a really, really fun premise. But as we get on longer into the movie, tropes start, like very simple tropes start coming up. There's a big bad boss, like who has all this money, and this poor kid, Aladdin or something, is supposed to win the ultimate prize, and it's just like kids against this ultimate evil. And after a while, it started feeling more and more like a kids movie, which is fine. I guess it's good that these parents can take their kids to this movie and also enjoy the 80s lore that they grew up with. But for people like us, I feel like it was opportunities missed. I feel like they could have concentrated more on getting the clues and more 80s lore instead of just this simple trope of these ragtag bunch of kids trying to bring down an evil organization.
And it's like the third key was like the easiest one to get.
Yes.
And it was just, as the movie went on, it seemed like almost the pacing was off, and it just kind of seemed like it didn't know where it wanted to go, even though you have like a great frame of reference. The source material is awesome. Like, follow that source material. But of course, with audiences, they're so afraid that things aren't going to translate well to screen. I understand that, but sometimes what you get is like kind of a shaky third act, and I think that's what we got a little bit.
For my final review, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I could have totally given this a much lower score, but I feel like there was they tried. I think the main reason that it gets such a high score is the visuals are amazing. It was a fun time. I wasn't bored at any point. And also there was a lot of very geeky moments that I feel really, made this film rather enjoyable. So I can't give it too harsh of a score, even though the acting was really bad. The story kind of fell by the wayside as it goes on, but still, 7 out of 10. It's something that you should watch if you like 80s lore, and something to take the kids to. Yeah. And it's just something to watch. I feel like it's an epic movie that everyone should just at least watch once.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. Passing grade. There wasn't much that I disliked about the film, but there wasn't much that captured me about the film aside from the CGI, the beautiful graphics, and some of the chase or car scenes that were in this film. Those are definitely the bright spots. The bad thing about it is that's the first 30, 45 minutes of the film, and this is a 2-hour and 20-minute film, as IMDb says on its runtime. So that's a lot of time where you got to kind of amaze me past what you just did, and the movie didn't really do that. And so, like Ken said, it's a good movie to go watch on the silver screen with your kids. As somebody who likes 80s lore, passing grade, 7 out of 10.
Well, that was our review for Ready Player One. Have you seen it before? Please comment below. Tell us if you liked it or what you liked about it, and what was your favorite cameo.
And what Steven Spielberg films directed towards kids, such as the BFG or Close Encounters of the Third Kind, stuff like that, what are your favorite Steven Spielberg films in this vein?
We'll be back with another video review soon, and we also have an Instagram.
At Black and Yellow Movies of the same name, where you can keep up to all the latest things that we're doing here at Black and Yellow Movies, so follow us on Instagram.
And we'll see you guys next time. What's up, boys and girls? We just saw Ready Player One. Steven Spielberg's adaptation of the movie. Not the movie.
Of the movie that he just directed.
Okay, the movie.